So we see Julius at the beginning of the fight start casting a spell, and the Duke immediately obliterates him with its laser. And it turns out to be, of course, the clone. And then another clone starts chanting the spell as well, and then it gets obliterated. And that's when we get a flashback to Will explaining the secret behind Elfie's spell, which is that each clone can continue a spell. So normally, whenever a spell is long and you get interrupted, you can't use the spell anymore. You have to then rechant what you've already chanted. But with the clones, every time a clone is destroyed chanting a spell, it doesn't have to rechant. The next clone can just continue the spell, and you continue the process until you run out of clones, and then you can finish the spell yourself. And so that's basically their entire strategy, where Julius made a bunch of clones, and every single time one is destroyed, the next clone picks up the chant. Now, Julius is pissed off about this because controlling multiple clones isn't as easy as everyone seems to think it is. Eventually, all the clones are destroyed, and Julius has to come out into the open and finish the spell himself. The Duke obviously goes straight for him, but they had that planned out already, where Thawne, Yagnar, and Clennett are meant to cover for the real Julius until he can finish the spell, and so they're just shooting off low-level magical spells at the Duke. And none of these spells are working. And the reason is because the Duke has what is referred to as iron wings. Yeah, so the Duke's wings are basically a shield or even armor, basically, where it can wrap itself completely up in its own wings and block any attack. Now, its physical body can be harmed, but once again, it can wrap its entire body up with its wings, so getting into it is pretty impossible. That's why they were planning on using a massive bombarding spell by Julius. After it is able to knock away all of the small fry attacks, that's when Will moves in, and using his hook and rope, he's able to do those gymnastic moves we saw him do in earlier chapters. Basically swinging around the Duke, dodging its attacks, doing everything he can to slow it down so Julius can finish his spell. When Julius finishes his spell, it is a massive one where it attacks the Duke from every direction, above, below, everything. And it's just a bombardment of ice. And even with this long chance spell with all this power behind it, it still gets blocked by the Duke's wings. But, once again, they were counting for this. And even though the Duke was able to block it, it's still ice. It's still freezing the Duke, and so it slowed it down. Which is perfect for the fastest member of their group, Lyanna, to zip in and do a final blow into its chest. Unfortunately, she doesn't actually make contact. It's not that the Duke is able to dodge or even block her. The problem is that the casters who summoned him, headless, apparently erected a barrier to automatically protect the Duke if it is about to be fatally wounded. And so, her attack is completely blocked. Realizing she's fucked, both her and Will basically get the fuck out of there because they're in close combat, and the Duke fires off its laser. But this time, it scatters its laser into smaller, weaker versions of it that just bombard their surroundings. Kiki then activates its barrier, protecting Will and Lyanna. For the most part, they're able to dodge all of the lasers, except for one. It grazes Will's head. You actually see blood running down his face after that. Now, that's a problem, but the main issue that Will is having is that the laser obliterated his goggles, his gift from Elfie. Now, whenever it involves Elfie, Will loses his cool and goes nuts and just goes in reckless. So he's either going to get himself really hurt by just rushing in recklessly, or Elfie put in a spell in those goggles, and so if they ever got destroyed, it would activate some kind of protection spell that would deal with whatever's threatening Will. With that being said, I'm going with the former. I think Will is just going to snap like he always does, and then rush in like an idiot. I do not see the next chapter going well for them. I do see them defeating the Duke, but I see it happening the chapter after the next. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, subscribe, give it a thumbs up so you can enjoy more Wistoria and other amazing things. Thank you, and have a great day.